Hello and welcome to Antinatalism this week. David Benatar will be giving a talk on the badness of death for animals at a colloquium in Queen's University in Canada. It will be on 23rd October 2025 from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., which I assume Eastern Time. I'm not sure whether the recording will be available or not, so I have emailed them requesting to make the audio recording available for the rest of us. You can also email them to ask for it. The more people ask, the better the chance of us getting it, is my assumption. Speaking of David Benatar, on a channel called Escape Sapiens, there was an interview of David Benatar. It was almost an hour and a half long, super engaging audio to listen to, even if you are well aware of Benatar's arguments. And if you're not aware or you've not read his work properly, then this interview is yet another good starting point. Almost all arguments are considered: his axiological asymmetry, empirical asymmetry, quality of life argument, the badness of death, the sentient condition, the human condition, risk argument, consent argument, misanthropic argument, the non identity problem, a bit of population ethics, almost everything, except maybe a couple of arguments that were not discussed, like other animals or abortion, etc. But fantastic interview overall, and a pleasure to listen to Benatar as always. The Child Free Couple is a channel which, as the name suggests, focuses more on child freedom than antinatalism. But this time, they've made a video about why antinatalism won't work in India. Now, I don't actually agree with his evaluation, but just to steelman his argument, here it is. For you to be an antinatalist, you need to have empathy towards someone who has not yet been born. So he's referring to the philanthropic arguments. But he claims that people in India don't even have empathy towards existing people. He uses some indicators as evidence for this claim. For example, honking is rife in India. Everybody on the streets honks their horns all the time without regard to others. Littering is another example he uses. A lot of places in India are filled with rubbish, which again shows disregard towards the larger community. Overall, almost all celebrations here are noisy to unhealthy levels, and you can't stop it, as people producing that noise don't actually care about your well being. These people are usually connected to powerful local politicians with police forces at their hands, so you can't really do much. So, Yen, who is the creator of the channel, says Indians lack empathy for existing people. And if that is the case, why would they have any empathy for potential unborn children? And therefore, antinatalism won't work in India. This is a comparative claim. He is saying, in comparison to other countries, it is unlikely that antinatalism will get any traction in India. I also think he means the Indian subcontinent, although he doesn't say this. Now, of course, I don't agree with his claim, his evaluation, and the evidence that he provides, but that's what he says. Candid Exchange is yet another growing channel among the youth that follow Hindi videos, and they have put out a video which they called Ultimate Antinatalism Debate. I really want to say good things about this, but I'm struggling. It was not a debate, just very random and unsystematic discussion. I listened to only first 30 minutes because most of it was about parenting and parents' concerns rather than the ethics of bringing a child into existence. There were many factual inaccuracies, logical fallacies, confusion between anecdotal and statistical evidence, and very little, if at all, to do with anything about antinatalist arguments. Just one example for my point: they all claim that they have never met any parent who regrets having had children, and then they build their own hypothesis explaining that. But here's a Facebook group with 85,000 followers called I Regret Having Children, and there are those who regret it for themselves in the sense that they would rather be doing something else than raising a child. But there are also many who regret having had children for the sake of the child. There are anecdotal evidences for this, but there could also be statistical data for this. Anyway, I could be wrong in my criticism as I quit watching at 30 minutes, but that's the impression that I got. Still, I appreciate that young people in the most populous nation in the world are talking about this subject openly, something which was unthinkable only a few decades ago. So, thanks to Candid Exchange for doing that. Contrasts all of this to another new and relatively small channel called Gossip Sensi. He has made an Antinatalism 101 starter video in Hindi in a question-answer format. And it was a really nice video, only a 13-minute video, but it captures many arguments for antinatalism as well as some of the historical and cultural contexts around it. So thanks to Gossip Sensi for doing this. The creators of Meow Theatre have created a third zine, this time on climate change, as a reason reason for not having children. It imagines a couple thinking of having a biological child and walks through the climate crisis the world is facing. They have done two zines before that. One was about a girl whose life does not go well, and second one on why vegans should not have children. And now this one on climate change. I don't know how many more they are going to do, but this is a good idea, and I hope many more will come with different arguments for antinatalism. Also, a good news to share, Lawrence Anton has reached another milestone. His channel, which is dedicated entirely to antinatalism, has crossed 7,000 subscribers. So a huge congratulations to Lawrence, and I hope he gets to 10,000 soon. Taking the population control out of reproductive health measurement is a talk scheduled on 9th October 2025 at Purdy Center for the Study of Long Range Future at Boston University. It is a lecture by Lee Senderovich, who is a demographer and assistant professor at the University of Wisconsin. This talk will explore the ways that antinatalist ideology permeates the design and quantitative evaluation of contemporary family planning projects 30 years after the International Conference on Population and Development called for an end to population control. So they think that population control is what antinatalist ideology wants. Not sure if that is accurate, but the talk is available to attend for free on Zoom. You have to register with your email ID and they will send the Zoom link. I'll include the registration link in the description of this video. And now an article about population news. The Economist published an article, "Humanity will shrink far sooner than you think." Fertility rates, meaning the average number of children per woman, are dropping in many countries, and we all know that. But this article focuses more on how fast the decline is happening. It names countries like Colombia and Turkey, which you don't usually hear when demographers talk about worrying declines in fertility rates. Turkey's fertility rate has dropped to 1.48, something the UN had predicted would not happen until 2100. Same is the case with Thailand, Colombia, and others. The UN had thought that Thai women would record a TFR, which is total fertility rate, of 1.2 in 2024. The actual figure was just 1. In Colombia, it expected a TFR of 1.6 and saw only 2.5% chance of reading below 1.4. But the National Statistics Agency reckons Colombia has already plunged under that level, dropping to 1.2 births per woman in 2023. Fewer than 2 million babies were born in Egypt last year, a threshold it was not expected to cross before 2100. If the TFR goes on falling at its recent rate for even one more year, the eventual global population peak will arrive 3 years sooner with 130 million fewer people. If it declines for another decade before stabilizing, peak humanity will arrive in 2065 with 750 million fewer people. There is another prediction which is at risk. That is the point at which fertility rates start to rise again. Current falls in many countries are because of falling teen pregnancies and because women are having children later. But once they reach that later age and have children, the fertility rates are expected to rise. This chart, for example, shows UN projections of how fertility rates will rise in countries like Korea and China. But that may not happen worldwide. Take India, for example. In Delhi, women can expect to have 1.2 babies. In the poorer northern states of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, together home to about 300 million people, the fertility rate is more than double that, but is also falling. Even if rates stabilize in richer nations, the national rate will still continue to fall as poorer places catch up. The same thing is happening in countries like Colombia and Turkey. So UN projections seem to be wrong on three factors: on the rate of decline in fertility rate, the time when human population will actually peak, and when the fertility rates will start to recover. What really happens, only time will tell.